to bring Miss Sharon C Cooper in the house. He was your advocate to bring. I asked the tribe because I didn't want it to be just, this is a tribe event. Even though I've been hosting it for 16 years, this was the tribe's baby to bring in voices, like I said, that I've heard, I've followed you for years and years. And she was like, we got to get, that's why she's your host. If anybody's there, I'm not playing favorites that Joy J.L. Campbell is getting to interview so many people. It's not that. I'm letting people interview the people that they wanted to bring in.
That's nice.
I thought that was really, even one reviewer got to do, Shannon Harper got to do Yanoma, because she has always advocated. And I just thought that was it's a wonderful experience for you all to have that exchange. So I'm quiet and I'm gonna make it do what it do.
Hey, Joy.
Good afternoon. A while ago, I just had to cross my fingers and say, thank you, God, because my internet started acting up. And I was ghosting, shimmering and everything. And when it came back, just as you came on, I said, thank you, God. So it's so good to have you and to be able to talk to you about some of what you do. So I know that your latest book is Show Me. You're in a series with Delaney and Cheryl.
Yes.
And that you are an award-winning and best-selling author of contemporary romance and romantic suspense. Now, according to your bio, you're a romantic at heart. You love everything romance, including books, movies, and the stuff that happens in real life. Okay. And anything that ends with a happy couple. But I want to focus on romantic suspense. How did you start writing romantic suspense? How did that become your thing?
That's a good question. Actually, when I didn't realize I was writing romantic suspense until one of my critique partners mentioned my attempt was contemporary romance. And she mentioned that that it actually should be categorized as romantic suspense. And so I literally just kind of fell into it. I've always enjoyed romantic suspense though, so maybe that's how. I'm not really sure. It just kind of happened. I like a lot of action in stories, so I usually gravitate to something. Yeah, I usually gravitate to some type of action, or somebody getting pushed off a building or something. So that's how that happened. It was definitely by accident. And then once I realized that I was writing it, I started doing a little research, so I could write it correctly. And now it's my favorite genre. A lot of work though, a lot of research.
Yes. So let me ask you, I realized that your early writing, you were writing the Kimani Hotties. How did you transition into doing into self-publishing?
Actually, I started with self-publishing. It was probably a month or two after I published my first self-published book. Editor at Harlequin Kamani contacted me and asked if I was interested in selling that book to them. And I said no. I said no. And then she asked, had I ever considered writing traditional? And I think I considered it, but it wasn't something, I wasn't one of those people where I had to be traditionally published. I'm still not one of those where I have to see my book in the store, on the shelf and all that. And so, but then after talking with her, I really liked her actually. And so that kind of pushed me to at least give it a try. And so I agreed to 2 books at first. And then they contacted me, well, that editor, I don't know if it was after the 2 books were released or before they were released, asked if I would consider additional books. So I stopped at 4 though. Okay. Yeah.
Do you write full time?
Excuse me?
Do you write full time?
I do. I've been writing full time now, probably it's been a few years now. Yeah, because I started writing when I was working full time, and then as you know, things were going very well basically, and so I was like, oh, I might try this full time, and haven't looked back. Although there are days where I think about, finding a different job that's not deadline induced, and
Tell us about Show Me, the latest book.
Okay, Show Me is one of three books that's part of a collaboration with Delaney Diamond and Cheryl Lister, and we planned this probably a couple of years ago, but it just took a while for us all to get our schedules, all of us to be able to get it on our schedules. And it's about, well, Show Me itself. Well, let me tell you about the series. Basically, is entitled Irresistible Husband. We all wanted to do a book where the hero actually wanted to be a husband for whatever reason. They either found that person who they were madly and passionately in love with, or, as for my character, Cole, it was just on his life plan. By 40, he wanted to be married to his special woman, have a family. And then he was 39, not married, no kids or anything. So he was getting a little nervous. But he had his eye on someone who wouldn't give him the time of day. But they had a mutual, they were mutually attracted to each other. But the heroine, her name is Malaya. She felt that they would never work because they were at two different levels. She was just still trying to get herself together. He is very established, has met all of his goals, and she had quite a few setbacks after she was divorced. Anyway, they got together. I won't give too much away, just in case somebody wants to read it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. He was her knight in shining armor, basically, or her knight, I guess.
Awesome. Let me ask you, I don't want to be a total hog and ask all the questions, but I have one more before, letting the other guys weigh in. How do you celebrate your wins? I mean, what do you do? Do you do anything different when you finish a book, when you have,
I do. My husband is extremely patient. I had to chuckle a little bit when Kennedy was talking about her husband. And my husband definitely, he balances us. I'm a workaholic. I'm OCD. I have anal, all of it. And he's like the opposite. So he's such a wonderful balance. And so after I release every single book, I treat him to a magnificent dinner. Like no budget, let's just go for it. He loves to eat, so that's pretty big, But usually that's how I celebrate, is by sharing my win, is how I say it, with the person who's the most patient, most tolerant. Yeah, that's how I celebrate and we usually celebrate on our date nights are Wednesday. So no matter when I release, that Wednesday, we're celebrating. That was a good question.
What's the biggest meal that he's been able to pull off from you?
That's probably lobster. Yeah, probably lobster, surf and turf. Those are usually the bigger ones.
I thought you were gonna say steak. I won't be.
Yep.
Steak.
Yep.
But there's a lot of women who get into this writing thing, and because it's not a 9 to 5 and it's not a solid thing, that in certain aspects, that when it becomes as successful as your books have become, that sometimes the significant others have become a little jealous of that success. You know, you're doing something you love and you're passionate about, and here I am slaving over a 9-to-5. How fair is that? How has your husband, your significant other, how has he, what has he done that you can say, oh my God, this man. Tell us a little bit about that. We want to hear that good stuff.
The part that stands out the most, especially for certain books, sometimes I push it to that very last hour as far as the deadline. And there are times where I have to do all-nighters. And I have a sofa in my office and he stays up with me. Well, physically he's present with me, even if he's asleep or whatever. If I'm up, he's up, you know. And I think for me, that's like really huge, because I don't know if you pull many all-nighters trying to get a story done, and it is like the most stressful thing in the world. But to know that your support is like right in front of the computer on the sofa, kind of cheering you on silently, is priceless. Is priceless. He's always been very supportive, even when I have thought about, like, you know what, I'm giving this up. I'm going to get a real job with no deadlines, and you know, and he's like, but then you won't be doing what you want to do, you know. So he's super supportive. Yeah.
That's so awesome. Any other? I'm going to unmute some of these other tribe members. Of course, there's Pat George Walker back there, and we've got Christine Pauls on here, and one of our newer tribe members, Stephanie M. Freeman. Okay, and then, Lisa popped in. Oh, you know Lisa, okay. We are going to allow Tribe to get in a few questions with you.
Okay.
Lisa?
Pat says she has a question.
Okay, Pat, go ahead.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi. I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm hanging in
here. It's nice to put the
here.
faces with the names. You know, I see the names on social media, on books and things. So it's really nice to put the faces with the names.
The same. I love your smile. So let me get that out of the way.
Thank you.
It's very engaging. My question to you is, we talk about husbands, you know, and our immediate family that's in the house being supportive. What support or non-support have you gotten from, like, aunts, uncles, cousins, those who don't really understand what writing is all about and think they can just pop in at any time, you know, ask you to go run them to the store, whatever, when you're trying to get your writing thing done?
I think initially my family didn't get it. But after you say no so many times and I'm on deadline, can't talk, see you in a few weeks, you know, things of that nature, after a while, they get it. Now they get it. But at first they didn't get it. But now that they do get it, I think that the key was setting boundaries. You know, this is my job. This is, you know, I'm not going to call you during your job, you know. I just need that same respect that I can't do everything, you know. I miss out a lot, but, you know, I'm working, you know, and they get it. They get it now. But at first, especially my dad, you know, but now he'll call at the weirdest time and say, I'm sure you're on deadline, but whenever you get a chance, can you call your father? You know, so they get it now. But yeah, it was tough at first. And I think it's hard for the author, because you don't want to ignore,
right.
You don't want to ignore your family. But on the other hand, you have this deadline that's looming, and you don't want to, you know, start falling behind, because once you get behind on one, it just kind of snowballs from there. And so I think it's up to us to set those boundaries.
Yeah, my biggest issue with my family was I write on everything. I don't care if it's a napkin, toilet paper, whatever a thought hits. And so my biggest fights was people coming into my space and saying, oh, let me throw that in the garbage. I found so many of my thoughts in the garbage. So I was like you, I had to finally just shut them down. But I didn't do it as nice as you probably did. So there are some that are still angry with me.
Oh no!
But I really don't care. And then sometimes I'll call Lisa and say, you know, look, this is happening, that is happening. I don't have a husband; I'm a widow, so she kind of falls in that gap.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I've always wondered how authors deal with their families who don't understand.
Yeah.
That you sometimes have characters talking to you in your head while they're trying to talk to you also,
Yep.
and you're telling them to shut up.
Yeah. It was tough at first. It was mainly my parents though. It's like they really didn't seem to get it right away, but now they definitely get it. And with my husband, I'm often asking him, "Do you feel neglected?" Because I'm like, I'll neglect anything else, but I definitely want to make sure he doesn't feel
Right.
neglected, and that usually is not a problem. So,
Well, thank you for answering my
all
question.
right, thank you.
Hey, Sharon.
Hi, Lisa.
Hey, so my question is, tell us a little bit about your first novel and how that was published. And did you think at that time that you were kind of ready to jump in with both feet? And what was a lesson learned along the way that you wish you would have known beforehand?
Wow, I wasn't ready. I'll never forget it, actually. I had one book done, didn't know what to do with it because it took a while to pull it together, and I still wasn't confident that it was ready. And that book was something new. And that story changed so many times. My plan when I first started writing was to write sweet romance. And so that book has a little bit of everything. It has suspense, contemporary, it has everything in it. Just I know what I was doing basically. It amazes me that it's still selling. And so, but one of the stories I'll never forget is Delaney Diamond. I met her and Candace Shaw at Georgia Romance Writers. And Candace and we were probably kind of like at the same, I think we both had like one book done and then we were kind of working on one, but we weren't doing anything with that book that was done. And I remember, I think we were out for lunch or something. Delaney was like, "You guys need to quit playing and going to publish those books. You have one done, you have one almost done, put it out there." And it's like, all right then. And she was very, in your face with it and quit messing around, just do it, just get out there and do it. So she was extremely helpful as far as, just everything of what to do, how to do it. Chicky Brown was another one that was like a godsend as far as even knowing what platforms every possible thing you can think of. Those two were so generous with their information that I think it was like within a month or two, I put that first book out. And then one of my critique partners was like, I saw somebody who did a short story and gave it away for free or whatever. I think you should do that too. I'm thinking like, all right, I'll do that. I did that with Best Women for the Job. That started my Jenkins Family series. I had always wanted to, my background is construction. I'm a sheet metal worker by trade. And so I did construction for 10 years. And so I always thought, wouldn't it be cool if there's, female construction workers in romance, And so I was like, well, maybe I can do it with that short story. I had no plan. I just was going to do the short story. And I got tons of emails asking, when is the next Jenkins Family story coming? I'm thinking like, I don't even have a story, And so it just kind of ran with, from there. So I had that first book done, Something New, and then I had half a book done, Blue Roses. And in between time, I wrote that short story. And so I published Something New April 29th, I think. June, the early part of June is when I got a call from a Harlequin Kamani editor. Now, she didn't call me. She emailed and asked if she could talk with me and left her number. I'm thinking like, is this for real? You get so much spam and stuff. And I'm thinking, well, I'll just call and see what happens. And then she called and she said she was hanging out on Barnes & Noble and saw my book, Something New. And it just kind of went from there as far as she started talking about becoming traditionally published and, and so it took me a while to kind of agree to it. Because once you self-publish, the freedom of doing whatever you want, how you want, when you want, is priceless. you know, but I'm glad I had the experience with the traditional publisher, which I'm trying it again now because I have 2 books coming out next year with Harlequin romantic suspense. And so I'm giving it a try, but I'm reminded of how stressful it can be when you're writing for someone else. You know, not that it's not stressful when you write for yourself, but there's a different type of stress. I'm not sure if I answered your question. I kind of started rambling.
Hey,
Sorry
that's fine.
that.
This is your time. We can ask you anything. We're good.
Yeah, but yeah, that's how I got started. So I guess I probably owe Delaney Diamond something. I'm surprised she hasn't tried to collect.
She knows where you live.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Let me ask to unmute. And okay, hold on. Everybody should be unmuted at this point. I'm sorry. There's new people that popped on. Stephanie?
Hi. Yes.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hello, hello. Time management. I'm always fascinated by writers and time management. How do you get it all done? Because they don't give us an extra hour in the day, but there's always a million things to be done, from the day job to families. And I mean, how do you find that time management? How do you make those hours in the day work for you?
Man, Stephanie, some days it doesn't work. My calendar is right next to me all the time. And I have to write everything down, especially the older I get, the more I have to write down. But I have to write everything down. I treat everything like an appointment, whether it's, everything, mopping, everything. It gets written down. Otherwise, it doesn't get done. So my time management is definitely, I can only do it with a calendar. The simplest things, I write it down. There's something powerful about being able to check off once you accomplish something on a calendar. So even if it's the smallest, my husband and I, we have monthly business meetings, just regarding the household. It's on the calendar, and just the simplest things, you'd be amazed at what shows up on that calendar, but that seems to be the only, cleaning the bathroom, it's on the calendar, because it just seems to be the only way. As long as it's not date night. Huh?
I said, as long as it's not date night.
Right. Oh yeah. There's a spot on the calendar on Wednesday, starting at 6 p.m. that says date night. Every Wednesday, so yeah, but I think that's the only way I've been able to manage as far as time. There's just definitely not, it doesn't feel like there's enough time in the day, because when you're writing full time, you look up before you know it's 4 p.m. And I can start at 5 a.m. and it just, I don't know where it goes, but I highly recommend use a calendar and put everything down. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, as long as you don't write and confuse date night with cleaning the bathroom, you're good. Like, no, dude, we can't go anywhere because I actually have to
clean the bathroom.
You got OCD and you gotta stick to that schedule. Oh Lord, be an unhappy husband.
Actually, that probably helps with my time management too, because I am OCD. And it's like I can't move on unless certain things are in a certain place. My ink pen has to be to the right of me. My calendar has to be to the left. It's pretty sick, actually.
Okay. I'm sorry, tribe members, if that's your background, could you mute for us, because it's interfering with the recording. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay, now I can hear. I was like, wow, somebody is really sound like the game or an infomercial. Either way. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
JL, I'm going to turn it back. Are there any other tribe members who have a question for Ms. Cooper?
Christine.
Hi, Sharon. This is Christine. Hi. I don't have a question, more of a comment. I did read your short story, Best Woman for the Job. I enjoyed it. It was very unique, especially with the woman being a contractor, going to to the man's house to do some work. So I just want you to know that's like the first thing that I've read by you. And I did enjoy that short story.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I get a lot of comments because I think that's the one where it had the squirrel in the basement. And I had her on the top of a dryer, I think, washing machine or dryer. And someone asked me, it's like, is it, really, wasn't that like overkill? I was like, no, because I'm terrified of rodents. And I worked with all men. So to be terrified of rodents and work with all men who are like, how can you be afraid of rodents and you have to work in boiler rooms, I'm thinking like, I'm afraid of rodents. I don't want to see them. I'll be on top of something if I see them. And there were instances like that, so it wasn't that far-fetched. It just wasn't a squirrel.
Right. When you said that you worked in sheet metal, I kind of gave a double, because that is not something that you normally would hear for a woman,
especially Black women.
And I did a double take, like, this little bitty woman up there handling that business.
Still have my tools and everything. Always had my nails polished, because it's like, I'll be a sheet metal worker, but I'm still gonna have my nails polished, so yeah, it was an amazing experience.
That is
so. Took up plumbing.
What you said?
No, I said I took up plumbing when I bought my first house, because I was determined I was not going to pay a plumber to do little things that I could do. And I was the only female in my class.
Yep. That's how it was with me. I worked with, I think it was 40 guys, almost 40 guys and me. Yeah.
Thing. Joyce Hudson said, Sharon, I'm a big fan of yours. Love that you're doing a new romantic suspense series with Harlequin in 2021.
Yep. Thanks, Joyce.
And Midnight Ace Book Bar said, thanks for everything, Sharon.
Love you, Midnight Ace.
We got a lot of people in here. So I am going to turn this back over to JL so she can close out everything. But I wanted to do a little station identification, as we say our, how do we say this in lingo? Our commercial advertisement. Here we go. And that is, JL, tell us what this is.
Paradise Island, that's the latest of my books, romantic suspense. It's in the Night of the Castle series, and you all should get this book.
That's what I'm talking about. I also, that's what I'm talking about. Good promo, good promo.
So Sharon, just to wind down, how many books do you have under your belt? Are you going in? Is there any other genre you would write? And then tell us where we can find all your stuff.
Okay, I just finished number 30. Actually, I think it was Show Me. Well, it was either Show Me or one of the Harlequin romantic suspense that's coming out next year was number 30 for me. I probably would not do any other. Oh, I take that back. I am gonna do a rom-com. I've been, yeah, I'm gonna do a rom-com. I'll have more of that coming up. And, but outside of contemporary romance, romantic suspense, and now a rom-com, I have no plans to write in any other genre. You can find me on the internet. My website is sharoncooper.net. And on my website has all my links to social media. So hit me up. I'd love to hear from you. And I think that was all you asked, right? Joy, I always wondered what JL stood for. So it's nice to know that J is for joy.
Okay. The L is for we say in Jamaica, Lilith, because we have a thing, but you would say Lilith.
Oh, okay. Cool. What a beautiful name.
Thank you. So we want to thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. Nice seeing everybody.
Bye, Sharon.
Bye. Thanks for the good questions too.
Okay, so we're going to shift over into the next author. You can hang around. If you just turn off your video, you'll fall into the panelist queue.
Okay.
And you'll be all good to go.
All right. Thanks again.
Indeed, indeed. Take care.